Welcome back, everybody. I'm Dr. Stacy, and this is Weight Loss Made Simple. I want to talk to you about fall and food and comfort and amazingness. First, I want to say, if you can hear the dang dog, it's like every third episode he loses his mind and he just wants to bark, 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 bark. So I'm sorry if you hear him, but let's move on to coziness and fall and fun. Too often, those cozy meals and that soft, cozy, whatever. And then we're in a food coma and we are bloated and brain fogged and ready to crawl onto the couch and not move a lot. And then we know that holiday parties are coming and we just say, forget it. I'll see you in January, right? So I want us to be able to have all the comforts of fall, like that pumpkin bread and cinnamon and chili and casseroles and cozy blankies and cozy couches without just totally falling off and saying, forget it, I'll start again in January. Because there is absolutely a way that we can have all the cozy fun without just kicking our plan for our healthy eating to the curb. We can have both. So I'm going to go through a couple of strategies and how we can make some smart swaps. I'm going to talk about our pumpkin spice latte for just a quick sec, and then I'll give you a couple of mocktails to try maybe. See if you like them. I want to get your feedback on them. For me, a lot of times I find it's just easier just not to drink it all instead of trying to make a mocktail. But I'm going to try a few this fall season. So I want you to try a few with me and then you let me know how they go. Okay. So first, let's talk about soups and stews. Okay. Because I find that soups and stews tend to be very comforting. I know my husband, you'll have heard me talk about him. He makes the best chili in the world. So I make him make chili every fall. More than once, because we eat the heck out of it for days at a time. But it's such an easy way to get protein. There's no sugar in it. There's veggies all pulsed up so small you don't even know they're in there. And so I think some of these soups and stews can be a very easy way to have a very low to no sugar, comforting, feel full meal. So one is chili, of course. I used to make this really good butternut squash soup that was really good too, which was so easy because it was just butternut squash, onion, apple, and then you can put in some coconut milk, or I put in butter, or whatever, but it's like 3 or 4 ingredients and you just blend it until smooth after you cook it down, and it's really easy. And then if you think about a pot roast, that's super easy, no sugar, or a veggie chicken stew, or just chicken, roasted chicken. Nothing feels more fall to me than a big roasted chicken. And none of these things are full of sugar. They all fit on all of our protocols. They're really good, and a lot of them you make in bulk. So it's like meal prep gold, right? So when Quad takes the time to make that big bowl of chili, I can portion that out and freeze some, and then it is there for later. Remember my hack for if we are going to put stuff in the freezer, not only do we date it on whatever we put it on, but we go to our calendar for 2 weeks ahead of time or 3 weeks ahead of time, and we write that meal on our calendar so we don't forget that we put it in there, and we have a plan to use it. So we can skip ahead to a really hectic week, and then we write it on there and it's ready. So that's our meal prep hack. But a lot of these soups and stews and big fall cooking just lend themselves so beautifully to meal prep. So it's really, really easy to meal prep for the week, or to meal prep where we have something in the freezer for a couple of weeks from now. We just want to write it on the calendar so we remember it is in there. I just read something funny in my notes. Comfort food should comfort you, not leave you searching for your stretchy pants. So I don't know. If you work from home like I do a couple of days a week, I'm already in my stretchy pants. So that doesn't really count. But let's talk about casseroles, because they really are a classic, and I think they're a fall classic, but most of them are cream of something soup, noodles, and cheese with more cheese, which sounds delicious, but It's just a recipe for a carb crash and like feeling gross later. So there's a couple of quick swaps that you can do. So we don't have to use the cream of soup, okay? We can use Greek yogurt or cottage cheese. It gives us that same creamy vibe, way more protein. So we're not going to have as much of a sugar fiasco. We can add chicken or lentils or beans to bulk up the protein even more. And we could try quinoa or brown rice instead of noodles. Okay, so these casseroles or one pan meals, we can switch things out in the recipe. Some of you might be like die-hard recipe followers, and I see you and I love you, but I promise you it is okay to try some of these swaps. Worst case scenario, it's not amazing and we just don't do it again. Okay? But all of these things that we're swapping are edible foods, so it should be okay. So we can lighten things up and just add some protein, and it will make us feel better when we're done eating it. I think roasting veggies is a really great time for fall too. I kind of like the fall vegetables more. So remember, we can just lay some tinfoil down, throw a bunch of veggies, spray them or sprinkle them with olive oil, a little salt and pepper and garlic, roast them in the oven, 425 for like 30 minutes until they're like a little brown on top or a little crispy. Yum, yum. Okay? We can add that in with anything. My favorite fall food prep is on Sunday, I'll just make a big thing of quinoa, roast some veggies, and then if you get like a rotisserie chicken or some sort of protein, and then you can just have that and make it like little bowls for the week. So that can be your lunch for the whole week. Super easy. Some side dishes that we can make some smart swaps for, right? This is where spaghetti squash instead of noodles. My kids, although sometimes they choose to forget, they love spaghetti squash. They don't miss the pasta at all. The pasta, honestly, is just like a vessel for the delicious like bolognese sauce or whatever that you made. So spaghetti squash is a super easy swap. Sweet potatoes, super easy swap. And then cauliflower, right? Especially when you roast it, delicious. Okay, so we're not losing comfort by doing these things. So instead of mashed potatoes, we can do half and half, right? So if you can do cauliflower mash instead of mashed potatoes, love that for you. If you're like, Stacy, that's too much, I can't make the full swap, half and half, okay? Still lighter than mashed potatoes, still can give you that comfort. Any amount that you can switch to cauliflower other than potatoes is a win. Very easy, okay? One of my favorite winter or fall and winter breakfast is quinoa with a little bit of vanilla extract, a mashed sweet potato, and a little bit of cinnamon, and a little bit of almond milk. I call it porridge. I realize that if you are a porridge diehard, that may offend you, but that in my mind is porridge, and that's what I make. So we can use that same quinoa we made for the week. We can add a little bit of sweetness to it and a little cinnamon and a little vanilla extract, and now we have like a breakfast quinoa, okay? And you email me if you want to know more about that because it's one of my favorite things to make. Let's talk just for a minute about pumpkin spice, okay? We can do this without the sugar bomb that it is. And I'm going to tell you a couple of pumpkin spice latte things that I have tried that work and are good and don't leave you feeling super gross after having a bunch of syrup in your coffee. And if you're like, Stacy, you're crazy, syrup in my coffee is amazing. Okay, I see you, but maybe we just like have half the syrup. You know, you can customize everything now. So maybe we have half and see if we still like it. Okay, but pumpkin spice latte at home, we can do regular coffee with a little bit of pumpkin spice blend, which is just like cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, clove. Okay, so we can make our own pumpkin spice blend. We can do that with a little bit of pumpkin puree. The easiest thing to do, if you're like, I really love a pumpkin spice latte and I have to have it and I'll die without it, is to get the pumpkin protein drinks. Okay, they make pumpkin spice protein drinks. Use a little of that as your creamer in your coffee And it is like a 9 out of 10 good swap. Okay. So that is something that's really easy. There's an entire section of our grocery store right now of all the dairy stuff that is pumpkin spice. So there's all kinds of creamers. Nut Pods used to make one, and that is just almond milk and coconut milk that tasted like it. You can put that in your coffee. We can put our little pumpkin spice blend right in with our coffee grounds, our cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, and clove. We can put it right in with our coffee grounds. All different ways to get that little bit of PSL love in our life this fall without having to get the full syrup one from the store. So that's easy breezy. The other thing, I like warm drinks, right? And I also like sometimes having like a sparkly drink. I don't know what about fall makes me want a sparkly drink, but we can do some mocktails. So we could do some apple cider with some sparkling water or a cinnamon stick, right? We could do cranberry rosemary. So we could do cranberry juice, unsweetened, with some lime, sparkling water, a little sprig of rosemary. It looks fancy, tastes yummy. We could do ginger pear fizz. I haven't had this one, but this was suggested and I want to try it. You just mash a ripe pear with some fresh ginger, sparkling water, a little lemon. That sounds amazing to me. Okay. And then warm hot tea. All the things I said, if we do none of that, don't forget there is like the plate method, right, to portion for some of these comfort foods. So if you're going somewhere and you're like, they have all the traditional full cream of mushroom soup comfort foods and I'm going to have them, fine. Like, let's have a strategy for that too. And so if you're looking at your plate and you're visualizing your plate, think half veggies. Okay, so that could be salad, roasted vegetables, whatever. Half veggies. The half that's left, half of that half, or a quarter would be protein, and then a quarter would be starch. So if you're just like, I really don't know what anything is cooked in, and I'm not that hungry, do half veggies, half protein, and leave out the starch if you can. Okay, so maybe it's a big scoop of chili with some veggies on the side and like a small piece of cornbread. Okay, so that would be your plate method. So you can still get all the cozy vibes, but your blood sugar can stay a little more stable if we do it this way. So we want to do mainly veggies, protein, a little bit of starch. So zoom out a little bit. All the comfort doesn't always need to be about food. Okay, so the whole first part was about food, but we can do some non-food comfort things to bring the spirit of comfort into the house in things like our environment and our rituals and our self-care practices. So in our environment, maybe we switch out for some cozy blankets. Maybe we change out some of our lights. Maybe we change our wallflowers or whatever our scent is in the house. We can simmer some cinnamon and clove on the stove, or we can just change our plugins. Okay. Rituals, maybe we want to start having that warm tea at night or a warm drink at night. Gratitude journaling. If you have been doing the pumpkin challenge with me, you should be doing a gratitude every night in your journal. Okay. If we do a little gratitude, we're really set up for this season of being thankful. Okay. Maybe we want to do a little evening walk in the crisp air. Maybe we want to do all those things. So this is a great time to just switch up the ritual. I know in the summer it's really hot and it's hard to walk outside in the evening. The fall is a great time to do that. And then sort of self-care, self-comfort practices, maybe we want to read a little bit more, okay? So maybe we want to declutter just one small area. Maybe we want to change our playlist up a little bit for our workout. So make some little switch so that our brain is like, this is a new fun season, okay? This feels comfortable and fun and exciting without having to use food. All right, so there's lots of ways to build in comfort. We've done some really smart, cozy and comfort food swaps. And I think that should help us not go off the rails. All of these episodes, I'm trying to keep us just making little shifts, staying on track a little bit so that we don't fall into the holiday season of just F it, I'll see you in January. Okay. We don't need to do that. None of my clients gain weight over the holiday season. And it's because we just have these weekly little check ins of mindset shifts. Um, so that's what I'm offering for you. So if you want to think about like a journal prompt for next week, what can I do? How can I create comfort without sabotaging the rest of the year? So that's it. How can I create comfort without sabotaging my health goals, without sabotaging the end of the year? Okay. I hope that was enough. I hope that gives you some helpful things to think about, and I will see you next week. Bye.